All right, we're going right into it. This is Seminoles sideline 65. Florida State is now defeated in three straight games. They go down at home 34-28 to the hands of Clemson. In my opinion, was a close game after halftime. The game was pretty much out of hand uh, with that last minute of before halftime when you gave up 10 points straight. But let's do a little intro here. Once again, like I said, thanks for joining us tonight. This is our live post-game reaction. The game just wrapped up minutes ago at Doak Campbell Stadium with another tough defeat. Like I said, three straight games. You fall to 4-3 overall, 2-2 or 2-3 in conference. A third straight conference loss. Clemson moves to 7-0, 5-0. The number 4 team in the country, and will probably move ahead of the loss of Alabama today. We'll talk about a couple of things today. Like I said, I have some things to say. I don't want to spend all night on them because I feel like every week we're repeating the same things over and over today. But like I was just saying, I know we have people joining us now. I felt this game was lost right before halftime when you gave up 10 points in 1 minute. You played a very competitive first quarter. The offense came out clicking a lot more than I expected to start the game. You were able to run the ball. The run defense or run the offense run blocking in general looked a lot better than it had last week and the week before that. You were able to Trey Benson, in my opinion, had a great game. Started to, for some reason, you abandoned him again. I don't know if they forgot about him. You did get behind, so you abandoned kind of the run game with him. That question I hope comes up is to why'd you stop using him? But right before halftime, when the series of plays where Jordan fumbles the ball, you give up that within a minute you give a touchdown up, you have the field goal right before that. It just felt like, oh, here we go, and then you have to kick off, and then right after that you give up a big kick return, and then the flea flicker, and another touchdown. It was an avalanche. You held up for so long, all the momentum swung. You come out flat after halftime. You give up the big play, and then it just felt like, okay, well, you're not going to be able to come up. Like we said all week, you cannot put yourself in a hole that you cannot get out of, and that was it. You dug that hole, and then you lost the crowd, you lost the atmosphere, you killed yourself. You came out of halftime. Those are the things you can't do. Those were all things that were controllable, and you did it to yourself. And they made you pay. Great teams will make you pay, and Clemson made you pay tonight. And that was a decision. That moment there, it was about a 2-minute stretch right before halftime, right after halftime. That lost you the game tonight. There's other little plays here and there, but that's it for me. What are you thinking? Well, welcome, old man. How are you doing? I didn't even recognize you.
Well, I actually have some mixed emotions tonight. One was before we scored the last 2 touchdowns, I thought there was a possibility we're going to get blown out. Yeah. I thought it could get embarrassing. I thought that was going to be a real problem. So the first thought is that this team did not quit. Okay. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that to jump on anybody's fan bus or the softies of this program. I think we tell it on here the way we feel. And I'm going to tell you, you don't have to agree with me. I thought the team did not quit. They actually came back. But I do agree with you. There was a point of this game when it was over. Okay. And that point really was when Clemson scored 27 unanswered points.
Just like NC State.
That is a killer. That is a killer of this game. That was really it. And I know the announcers on TV, and I'll paraphrase them. I didn't come up with this. The middle 8 minutes, that Clemson seems to focus on as a team philosophy paid off for them. And a lot of the minutes you're talking about that you started your intro with were in those middle 8 minutes.
Yeah.
But there were some key plays in there. I like to look at the possessions, and Florida State came out on fire. They actually came out on fire in the first half with the first 3 possessions. I gave them check marks because we had 2 touchdowns, 2 clean extra points, 2 clean extra points right down the middle, and we did have to punt the ball one time, but 2 out of 3 touchdowns. That's a pretty damn good start. I thought we were going to have a pretty good ball game here. Now I didn't think we'd necessarily win the damn game, but I thought we're going to be very competitive here tonight. That gives us a chance to win the football game.
Yep.
Now, after that, this is when I think, as you say, things started to fall apart. Let's look at the possessions following the first 3. The 4th possession we had a turnover on a 4th and 2 at the 32-yard line. We went for the 4th and 2. We didn't get it. Okay. There was a ball that Johnny Wilson, I believe, could have caught. But he didn't get it. We turned the ball over. The next time we get the ball, and in that turnover, the Clemson went down and got a field goal. Now, in the 5th possession, we turned the ball over on a fumble after a sack. In that regard, Clemson goes down and gets a touchdown. All right. And that kind of ended the first half. We come out after halftime, we kick off. Clemson gets a touchdown. I mean, at this point, the game's slipping away. We're in that 27-point differential here. And then what do? We get a fake punt. We have to punt the ball on our first possession of the second half after they score a touchdown. And we do another fake punt on our own 34-yard line, which we don't get on the 4th down conversion, and it's a turnover. At that point, they go down, get another field goal. So at that point, the game is really slipping away. Now, the next time we get it in the second half, we have to punt the ball away again. The 3rd time in the second half we get it, we turn the ball over again.
Are you going to go through every possession?
No,
I don't have the patience to go through every possession.
I'm just trying to show that the middle of the game, is the killer point of the game. Then after that, we scored 2 touchdowns in our final 2 possessions. Okay. But we were playing from behind at that point, and fans were leaving, which is terrible.
Yeah, this
fans should not leave.
This fan base can't talk about we're back and we're gonna we support this team when half the stadium's left and you're only down terrible. 20 points.
I have never ever left a game in my life ever.
It's embarrassing. I don't want FSU Twitter and all this crap. We're gonna talking about a big game all week, and then you guys leave halfway through the game. It's ridiculous. The team was only down 20 points. We were down, like I said. I thought the game was over, but you're only down 20 points. You're not down 38.
But that shows where shows where these fair weather fans are, that they don't believe in this team, and they're not going to support this team when it's losing. They will not support this team.
But they'll criticize people like us who ask questions about, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? But we'll watch the entire game. But they'll leave halfway through it because they get down, and then they won't watch a game for the rest of the season. That's the thing. They'll call people like us who'll say a negative thing, or they'll perceive as negative because we'll question things about the game plan or could have we done this or that better. But then they won't stay to watch the game because it gets hard and things are, not playing good, or we're not going to win the game. We're not going to get the upset. They just won't watch a single game for the rest of the season. That's why I hate some people in this fan base because of things like that. It's embarrassing. You get a
they're the same fans. Those are the same fans that'll talk crap on Twitter. And then when things are bad, they're the first one to say, well, I'm turning off the game. I've had enough.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do that. You can't do that. Yeah, I've never done that, and I never will do that.
This fan base honestly was embarrassing tonight. That leaving, even Dabo said it after the game. He called it out. He saw it. Everyone saw it. Live TV. You don't think recruits saw that?
Well, Dabo's also playing to the recruits,
as he should be.
And he's saying because he's recruiting against same guys that we're going after.
Most recruits will forget about the play between the lines. And Mike Norvell can tweet, he can recruit on the score. We were within 6 points of being the number 14. But Dabo can say, did you see all the fans that left? Did you see the stadium? All the people that left? And he called it correctly. This fan base was flat out embarrassing tonight.
And that should be called out, and we're calling that out. And fans, if you don't like it, that's tough shit, because that's the truth. Because in big programs that sustain themselves, no matter what, the fans stay to the end. They don't try to beat the traffic out of the stadium and they give up on their team. That's disgraceful for the fan base to do that, and we'll say that. And if you don't like it, then you can send us a note and tell us where we're wrong on it, because some of the best programs in this college football country, and I'm going to point out one in particular during the early Bobby Bowden years. Bobby Bowden took his team out to Nebraska when he was rebuilding this program, and he beat those Cornhuskers when they were a national championship program. And those fans at Nebraska stayed. The entire Nebraska fans stayed, okay? And they cheered for the Seminoles as they went off the field to show them respect. And you fans deserve to show respect to your own team, okay? So, but the game was lost in that middle period. Now, a question will come up is about when we tried this fake punt. Was that worth it at that time? We were down 31-14. There were 14 minutes left to be played in the game. All right. And at that point, Coach Norvell must have felt my defense cannot probably contain and control them. They're going to score more. I need to take a chance now. And he took the chance and it failed.
Okay. I get it. And honestly, I don't kind of blame him, because our defense really didn't stop them at all tonight, except towards the end of the game in the fourth quarter when they shut them out. But honestly, I feel like the playbook was honestly the points we got in the fourth quarter. And, we're going to hear the narrative all week. Florida State fought till the end.
Well, they did fight. They did.
I know.
The end.
That's at some point, fighting has to turn to you winning the freaking game. A fight. Oh, they fought hard. They fought till the end.
Well, we're talking about that.
The minimum standard to play at Florida State is you fight for 4 quarters. I'm sorry, but the minimum standard to play for Florida State, to play for an ACC program with our history, should be you fight for 4 quarters. I'm sorry. Well, it shouldn't be, thank you. You fought for 4 quarters. We appreciate it, guys. We appreciate it. The legends that have played for this program, we have to. That should be expected. We shouldn't have to think, thank you. They did it this time. They fought for 4 quarters. I don't know why it's like surprising that when they fight for 4 quarters.
I don't
understand that. I really don't understand this thing where they're just happy they fought for 4 quarters. It just blows my mind.
Well,
just happy they fought for 4 quarters.
You have to fight to compete. I believe this team is doing that every week, and I do believe they did that tonight despite the loss. I do believe that, and I'm very happy to see the 2 touchdowns. Those 2 touchdowns just weren't in mop-up duty when you're down 50 to nothing.
You weren't seeing premium Clemson defense though. That was
they were still making it a game. So I will say this team has fought like they haven't in past years. And I think that's a positive point coming out of this. I understand your point that at some point fighting has to turn into a win somewhere along the line.
Or you become Nebraska. What you're suggesting, or you become Nebraska. And it's just like, we almost were there. We almost got the win. We fought. We almost got the win.
What you're suggesting, though, is we made mistakes again. And these mistakes were gigantic mistakes. And you can't win. This team is not good enough to win when you're making crucial errors. And some of those errors were we could not get off the field. I don't know what the third down percentage was that Clemson converted, but it had to be
9
high.
Of 17. 9 of 17.
So. 9 of 17. Yeah. So that's over 50%.
Yep.
So, and that's a pretty good percentage. Now, one of the things that I think are very interesting, if you didn't see the names on the stats, you would probably think Florida State won this game if you look at the stats. Okay, the numbers I'm looking at is, except for time of possession and the final time of possession, that was fairly even. They had three more minutes. But the total yards, we had 460 yards.
But think about that. 90 of those yards came on that final drive there. A lot of those.
I understand. But if you look at the numbers themselves, we had a pretty good number statistically, but we made these mistakes, and you cannot win a football game when you give up 27 unanswered points. You can't do it.
No, I totally agree with it. And like we've been talking about, and like I've been saying, is that this team never seems to work in sync. When the offense is playing well, the defense is playing like crap. When the defense is playing well, the offense seems to stall. We have not, in the last 3 weeks, been playing together as a team. Both sides of the ball have not seemed to be on the same. It's not like they're doing it on purpose. It just has not clicked the last 3 weeks, where both sides of the ball are playing well and they move together, and we can score and then contain, score and then contain, keep them off the board and score at the same time. We went through that dry spell, 27 straight points. It was, what was it? 17 straight points for NC State, 27 straight points for Clemson tonight. Like you said, you're not going to win games like that. It can't happen. And I don't know why. Like, we were able to run the ball so well in the first half, especially to the left side, and then all of a sudden we started to abandon it. And like I said, there is some inconsistent run blocking, there is some inconsistent pass blocking, but at the same time, it just seemed like Trey Benson only ran the ball 7 times. I mean, it seemed like he was averaging 10 yards a carry. Why wasn't he on the field? I don't get this. It seems like he disappears in games, and I feel like I'm a parrot because I keep repeating the same things every single week.
Well, I thought
7 times.
I thought when Benson was running the ball, even the announcers, who are always kind of pro Clemson, they thought he was running the ball really good. I thought he put some good runs on tape tonight. He's a power runner. He was running through arm tackles. He was getting those extra yards after being hit, and I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I think I'll put out Ask the Coach this week about what happened to him, because he wasn't returning kicks tonight. Sam McCall was back there.
Which I'm fine with that.
Did a good job. Yeah. Sam McCall did a good job. In fact, he did a great job on the one and got called back for a push in the back.
Once again.
Another critical penalty.
Thing. Yeah.
And we had to start at like the 2 or 3, 4 or 5 yard line. But Troy Benson, I thought I don't know the answer to your question. And hopefully somebody in the press who are getting better at asking questions will bring that up and ask that question. Yeah. Why isn't this guy being used more? Why isn't he getting 15 carries? Now, they will say, well, we got behind or whatever. But if we broke it all down, I don't know how that would work out. In that regard. Jordan Travis had how many yards rushing?
He had 64 yards.
He had 64. We had over 200 yards rushing. If you have over 200 yards rushing, you have a good chance to win a football game.
Well, we said, and I think some of that rushing yardage may be the sack yardage may be deducted from it.
It is.
So it is. He probably had, if you net that out, he probably had over 100 yards rushing.
We had enough stats to win the football game, but we made mistakes at critical times.
I would like to see, but I would like to see how much of that yardage was not in the fourth quarter. Because I do think Clemson got a little bit more vanilla when they were up. I think that defense.
Well, they were playing probably a little bit more prevent.
That's what I'm saying. I think the game was over going into the fourth.
And I'm not
even
sure.
The announcers were talking about Syracuse more than they were Florida State.
I know. I thought that was
even they checked out.
I think they disrespected that. They at one point had a quick glimpse of people leaving the stadium. I thought that was disrespectful by ESPN to show people outside the stadium leaving, but they quickly got off of that. I think some producer said, "No, let's not do this." And I thought that was bad taste on their part in that regard. Now, so in that regard, without breaking down everything, it was good to see Ja'Kai Douglas back on the field. He made a couple of catches. He caught a touchdown ball, and he caught one that went out of bounds. But it shows his ability also to be a playmaker in the game, in that regard. I thought we targeted Johnny Wilson a little too much. There were 2 consecutive plays in the end zone where they went at him, the same exact plays, and either the ball wasn't thrown the appropriate manner to really extend his height for the ball. You know what I mean? But it seems like there's other receivers on here. Kentron Portier, he caught a touchdown tonight. There's other receivers. I think sometimes we're almost going too much to Johnny Wilson. I want to also point out that I thought the fight came out at the end on the one pass catch by McKeese Douglas. McKeese ran through people. And this was at the end of the game, near the end of the game.
He's got a good future. Like he was brought in as a raw talent, but as an athlete, and I think he's.
My God, I said to myself, that guy is still fighting, and that's the fight that this team, whether it's this year or next year, because most of these guys are going to be back on this team, despite what the beat reporters. 9 guys are going to go to the NFL. Well, those 9 guys will not make it in the NFL. I'm telling you right now, okay? No. These guys, most of these guys, and we'll go over that some night, most of these guys should return to this team for a variety of reasons, okay? For a variety of reasons. If they don't, then that's their decision. But this team is going to have a lot of talent on it next year. And we're not playing for next year. We're playing for the rest of the season in that regard. And we'll talk about that on another later this week. But in this game, we had enough numbers to win the game. We made still too many errors in this game. What were the penalties tonight?
We only had 3 penalties.
Okay.
Except 3 accepted penalties.
We cleaned that up. We cleaned that pretty well. I don't think that hurt us overall.
No, I don't think that hurt us overall.
Jordan Travis played his ass off.
Yeah.
Okay. Like a lot of guys, they played their ass off. But he played his ass off. I thought the offensive line had their hands full tonight. They had their hands full. Some guys missed some blocks. I mean, I could see it on TV.
Like in the first quarter, they showed some really great glimpses of what they could be and what they can be. The run blocking looks great in the first quarter, opening up those holes for Trey and for Toafili. They were getting a push, especially in the first quarter. They were moving the line. It looked really good, but then. Like I say, that's what's the difference between a great line, a good line, and a very, very average line is what we have. It's inconsistency. One play, you'll generate this gaping hole that a guy will run through, and the next play you'll give up a monstrous sack for no reason. It's because they'll miss a block. That's what we have. We have a huge inconsistency on these sides where they'll make a great play. They'll scheme it up perfectly. They'll make the block. Next play, the guy gets beat and Jordan's down for a sack and fumbling the ball. It's that inconsistency. That's where we are right now. And it's an extra. We got injuries. We got guys rotating from different positions.
Everybody's got that.
Okay, let me finish my point.
Everybody's got
that. Go on with what you want to say. Because obviously you have something you want to say.
No, go ahead.
You haven't even heard the end of my point yet.
Finish. Go ahead.
We are an average line because of the inconsistencies, because we're plugging guys in out of transfers, because we just don't have the talent to be great yet. It comes down to that. We don't have the talent. We're recruiting it. Those recruits are not ready yet, and we have to keep filling it with transfers. And that's why we're an average line. It's going to be like this for the rest of the season, especially when you go up against a great to an elite defensive line like Clemson. These things are going to happen. You're going to get sacked. You have to scheme around it. I think the offense did a better job than last week around scheming around the defensive players of Clemson. But then you couldn't score for the longest period of time. And it hurt you tonight. When you couldn't score in the third, that put you in a hole that killed you. And that's why you lost tonight. I think overall, though, there's still some weird play calling. The red zone scoring is still an issue. Finally this week we saw them trying to fade the ball. This goes back to a bigger point I have. Nobody respects Johnny Wilson anymore. No team's scared of Johnny Wilson.
They really don't.
They don't respect Johnny Wilson. I mean, they may respect him, but they don't think he's threatening. They're not double covering him. They'll put a defensive back on a one-on-one.
They know what we're going to do with him.
Yeah, and they'll accept it. They either don't respect that Jordan's going to put it where he can only catch the ball, or they don't respect Johnny's hands to be able to catch the ball. Because Clemson was like, they'll put a receiver on an island, and look, we couldn't connect it. Twice we saw it 2-3 times.
Why not instead of running the fade every time to the corner, have him fake the fade to the corner and cut across inside and throw the ball right into his gut area.
Well, it
Why
seems
not
like
do
most of the time
that?
that's how he catches the ball anyway. Most of the time
That's right.
he's running
That's
in the
where he
slot.
wants it. Drill it into his chest and let him catch it there instead of always. You have to have them thinking, is he going outside to the corner or is he going to cut it back inside? From not every game he's been in so far, it's always the fade to the corner. It's predictable.
Well, except for last week
I
when they
agree
didn't
with
do
you.
it. Last week they didn't do the fade to the corner. They threw it to Micah, who's the smallest guy on the receiver. This week they do the fade to the corner and can't connect on it. And they don't run the ball. They don't give it to Benson in that.
Well, we don't have a legitimate fullback. DJ Lunday had to take it in, and he barely got it in. We need to recruit a banger who can get 4 or 5 yards.
You can use Trey. You were
damn banger.
You were getting 10 yards per carry with Trey. Give him the ball once, see what happens. I mean,
well, they must not trust him inside. They must not trust him in the red zone to be big enough. I think he is big enough to bang it in there.
It was just
because that play to DJ Lunday almost failed. Because they tripped each other going.
They were lucky on that one, and then the other one, the red zone play, they didn't score. So they're missing on these opportunities in the red zone, and they cannot figure out a way to get the ball in the damn across the line. And like you said, they barely did with DJ because they tripped over each other.
Here's one of the things too that
we got a question. We got some questions
go ahead.
here.
Let's run the comments. We like the comments and the questions. Let's run it out there.
So BD Will 1 says he has had questionable coaching weekly, bad play calling in the most opportune times, players that are unstoppable one week, then aren't used the next week. I will definitely agree with that. It's something I think I keep trying to bring up. And whether, like you said, Johnny Wilson will show up one week really big. The next week you don't hear about him. Trey Benson this week. Trey Benson, he seems to disappear. He was huge in the first half, then it doesn't seem 7 touches and probably all in the first half. Then he disappears from the game plan. It's like, like you said, there's no consistency in this offense. It's maybe there's too many weapons. I don't think that's the case. But like you said, there's no consistency of who's the playmaker on this offense. And maybe that's why the offense is struggling because nobody stepped up to be, I'm going to be the guy. Early on, we thought it was going to be Johnny Wilson who's going to be the guy. He's going to be the next big star. And now they put him on an island today, 1-on-1. And I mean, he got 65 yards, 75 yards on six receptions, but it wasn't really on big plays. Let's be honest. Like he wasn't a big factor tonight, in my opinion, at least. I mean, he didn't have a touchdown. It was a lot of these little slant over the middle. He dropped a couple of balls. It wasn't the big play threat I thought he was going to be. If he catches that ball in the red zone, maybe it's a difference maker, but we weren't able to use him the way we thought we could use him, which is the disappointing part. Mike says, wait until have to play a Cecil Clemson team. I mean, it's like I said, we have a long way to go before we're competitive. We need an infusion of talent to be competitive against Clemson's, the Wake Forest. Like I said, even the Wake Forest has a lot of talent, a lot of veteran talent. But this team is. Some people are going to say Florida State's close. We're close. There's a moral victory here. I don't like saying that because I don't believe really in moral victories. But this team needs talent. They need a lot of talent in a lot of areas, especially in the trenches. That's where this team needs to get better and get better quickly. I think on the offensive line, it is getting better. We didn't see it tonight, but it is getting better in terms of recruiting. Defensive line, we need a lot of talent quickly.
Let me make a point on that while we're on that, while you look at other questions coming in. That was one of the keys too. Even though our first three possessions of the game in the first half, we scored 2 touchdowns. Here's what Clemson did in their first possessions. The first possession, we stopped them and they had to punt. Okay. I said, okay, that looks pretty good. The second possession, they get a touchdown. That was a long pass. We missed the sack. We blitzed.
He ran right past him. Right past him.
Knowles, our blitzers or our sackers are running right past the quarterback. He's stepping up. We missed him. The ball went down. It was a long pass, touchdown. So that was the second time. The third time they got it, there was another touchdown. Okay, another touchdown there, short pass. The fourth play was a field goal. The fifth possession was a touchdown. Our defense was not getting off the field. They were not getting off the field.
Yeah.
And that's been a problem for our defense. Yeah. Not only in this game, now you're starting to see it consistently, in terms of, and Clemson played to what? once they get inside your 40, that they score points.
Yeah.
And they did tonight. They did tonight.
And that's really one of the biggest differences. Like you said, when they get opportunities, they execute and they finish them. Florida State, when we get in the red zone,
it's inconsistent.
It's less than inconsistent. It's poor. It is not. That is the biggest difference, really, between. That's really the biggest regression from this year versus last year. Last year, we were pretty good to above average red zone team. This year, we were piss poor at finishing the red zone. I don't know what that reason is, because we have better offensive weapons this year than last year. And
some of it is this. Some of this inside of red zone, there's no respect for a runner who can take it up the middle, especially as we get closer inside the 5-yard line. We don't have any
Corbin
guy
was that banger last year.
Yeah, he was pretty good. But I'm talking about this year. We don't have a respectable banger in the middle. So we either have to run the ball outside or we have to throw the lob passes. And people are picking up on that now.
But who was that person last year? You're saying Corbin?
It had to be Corbin. Had to be that guy. Corbin had to be the guy. And we didn't have one last year. That's
what I'm saying. Why
we haven't had one? We haven't had one in 3 or 4 years. I'd have to go back and really look. Okay, but we're going to have to, moving forward, this team is going to have to outscore people. We're going to have to outscore people because the defense has not shown the ability to get off the field on a regular basis. Okay.
Well, what did we say? We said they had to score 30-plus points tonight to win, and they didn't.
They did not.
We
said they had an opportunity if they scored 30 points. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And we held Clemson below their average, but what does that mean? Okay.
It doesn't mean anything. We crapped the bed in the red zone. Calling plays a strength of our personnel. I would agree to that. I don't know how. I feel like we're not using Micah Pittman to his strengths. I don't believe Clemson really was able to take him out of this game. I don't know if he played. Like, we're using Johnny Wilson in the slot. I don't know how the hell we're only using Micah in slot, like screen passing. It doesn't feel like we use him over the middle enough.
He's got good hands. He's got good hands.
I feel like they're still feeling out how to use all these new receivers. I think they have too many people maybe in the receiver room that they're trying to figure out, okay, who do we slot here? How do we get like, we saw more Malik McClain tonight than we did the past 3 games. I felt like he caught 3 balls in the first quarter or in first half.
Well, they're all tall guys in Portier. Why not use the length that you have there more?
But once again, Malik McClain had, I think, 2 catches in the first quarter that disappeared. It's so frustrating that look at all these guys that caught balls tonight, but it's just, I don't know. We just can't put it together. The only good thing I'll say is that I didn't feel like there was a ton of drops versus last week. I think that kind of got better. But at the same time, I feel like Jordan missed some throws, especially when he tried to go deep.
He didn't have any time.
On the ones he
really didn't have a lot of time.
There was a couple in the first half that he could have hit Johnny and he missed them. Early in the season, he was hitting those. I think there's been some regression on the deep.
He was under a lot of pressure.
Every quarterback's under pressure. Most quarterbacks that don't have the Alabama offensive line are going to be under pressure. You have to make plays under pressure, or you can't play the position. I'm sorry, you're not every quarterback outside the top 5 teams has a elite offensive line. There's not that.
Well, you really have to do a real film study to see what's going on downfield. Do the receivers are they getting open? Are they getting separation? What he's seeing, but. I was watching the offensive line at times. I mean, there were guys just running right past our tackles.
Like I said, I'm not putting this game on Jordan. He played as well.
I thought he played his ass off. They're not even in the game.
He's got to take care of the ball, though. He has to take care of the ball. I'm sorry. He's got to sense that pressure. Have that. He's got to. If you're going to get sacked, I just that those fumbles are killer. Last week it was a killer. This week it's a killer. I get it. He's getting a lot of pressure on him within that pocket, but those fumble sacks, they're game changers. They really are game changers, especially when there's a minute left in your own side of the field. That turned the game. That play literally turned the game on its head. I'm sorry, but
yeah, it did. It was a big play.
You got to take care of the ball now.
Jordan is learning on the job. He's got a lot of big games ahead of him here now. coming up. I mean, this schedule does not get any easier. Syracuse knocked off a quarterback-less NC State in Syracuse. They're legit enough for us to have a battle on our hands. I don't see any easy steps on this schedule moving forward, including the Louisiana team. Okay. There are no easy games. And so the pressure is going to continue to mount to get a victory. We got Georgia Tech. That looks like something we should be able to put away, but, and maybe Louisiana. And then that will get us to a bowl game. It'll get us to a bowl game. But after that, I don't think there's any gimmies here. Miami's not going to be a gimme. Florida's not going to be a gimme. Syracuse is not going to be a gimme. Who else? Who else we got?
That's it.
Yeah.
You got 5 games.
And you know what? It's important. It's important when you're not going to win your ACC division and you're not going to win the ACC championship and you're not going to the college football playoff. Guess what's important? That you win your state, that you at least split the state. You cannot lose to both state teams because you want to see a fan base get irritated. You want to see stuff coming out where they get tired of hearing the coaching 101 language. Okay.
Well,
but I say that this coaching staff is working hard and this team is working hard. But at some point, there has to be production. Okay, there has to be production.
Well, we'll see. It'll be interesting. You're going into the bye week, come out against Georgia Tech. We'll see what kind of team comes out because you're going to have a lot of time off. You're coming off a 3-game losing streak. I mean, that could be a trap game. It really could be. I bet that game at home against Georgia Tech is not going to be sold out. You're going to have a team that's really.
Yeah, it won't be. It's not going to be sold out. It's probably going to be a noon kickoff.
Yeah.
It's likely to be a noon kickoff, which people hate, including me. They suck,
But this team, it's going to see if this team can stay focused and if they're actually locked in. It will be the real test here. If this team can stay focused, coach can keep them. It sounds like Norvell said in this presser tonight that Levitt should be good to go after the bye week. So you'll get guys healthy again. That'll be a positive of going to the bye week now. But you have to come back and win that Georgia Tech game and really lock back in. And that's the only saving grace now.
I think they will. I don't have any doubt in my mind. I have doubts about a lot of things, but I don't think I have any doubt they will be locked in for Georgia Tech. This is at home, and they'll be locked in on that game. And we'll walk out of there with a victory.
The only thing you can say is,
and I don't say that lightly.
No, the only thing I would tell to my team is after the bye week is it's a new season.
It's a new season.
It's a new. You go into the bye week.
Important season.
You won the first part of your season. You lost the second part. We start the third part now after the bye week. You have 5 games to close out. You come back healthy. You come back focused. Start with Georgia Tech. Let's knock it off and let's move forward.
Yeah. Let me ask
you. Nothing else matters.
Let me ask you this. Lots of recruits there watching both teams.
I think.
What do you think? What as a recruit, an uncommitted recruit, what do you think? Uncommitted first.
I
what
would
do you think?
Have a bad taste. Why
wouldn't you think maybe I can come on his team and play right away?
Because a lot of teams can sell that.
Really? Can Clemson sell that?
LSU can sell that. Florida can sell that.
Can Notre Dame sell that?
Yeah, they just lost to Stanford tonight.
Okay.
Are you joking me?
Yeah, but I think
everyone out of the top 10 can sell that.
But I think you have a greater chance to play at Florida State if
you're
that good.
Florida State could have sold that for the last 5 years, couldn't they? They've been awful for the last 5 years. Why couldn't they have sold it then?
And by the way, I thought, why I'm thinking about it, Teofili, I thought he had a pretty good game. I thought he worked real hard.
Okay, please, you have to stop saying they worked real hard.
Well, I'm not going to say that. I think they did work real hard. He had a good game. Yeah. I think they did work real hard.
I don't think any of that.
And if I didn't think they did, I'll be glad to say it. That's my feelings. That's my feelings. Okay. So okay. If you're a committed recruit, does it change your mind? Committed recruit now.
I mean, if you're a committed recruit, you probably paid more attention to the game and saw it all the way through. So you're probably like, okay, I can see how close we're getting, and they played through the end. But if I'm uncommitted, I probably checked out when they were down 20, clicked over to another channel, or just start talking to other people if I'm at the game.
No, I'm talking about the ones that are there.
Yeah, if I was out there, I probably checked out mentally and started texting some girl or something when they were down 20. and half the fans were leaving. I'm like, if they're leaving, why the hell am I paying attention to it?
That's the bad point, is to see the stands empty out when there was like almost 11 minutes left in the game. That was before we scored. That was before we started. They scored the last 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think that's I think that's bad. I think that's
where you can lose a 5-star guy for sure. Yeah. That's where you could lose a guy,
which you have and committed, but it's bad. I think that's the worst part. If you would have kept the crowd all the way through, which you should have, because the game was still within reach. It felt bad. It felt like it would have been worse, but it was close. It was still winnable, 20. That's not that, but if that crowd doesn't leave, I would have felt better about recruiting. But with that crowd leaving, I think people check. I think recruits, I think commits are. I think recruits probably checked out mentally, and we're like, okay, like
yeah. And we call out this team a lot, and sometimes it's well deserved. But tonight we are calling out the fan base, that you leaving because you're disgusted with the score, the team, or what's going on to beat traffic is shameful. Shameful on you.
Yeah. It's
shameful on you.
Yeah.
And I don't care whether you like it or not. That's the way it is. I'm not going to sit here and pat you on the back to get a subscription out of you or have you take one away. That's really what it is. This is your team.
Yeah, I don't want FSU Twitter crying about recruiting come early signing period when half the stadium left tonight. Don't cry about it later, please. When half the quarter of the stadium left tonight, probably half the stadium left tonight. So
when the team leaves the field, that's when you leave the field. Because these big programs, Clemson and other places, they don't leave. They don't leave.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree.
Okay, the last thing I thought was class. Now, I want to talk about class here. It doesn't have anything to do with winning or losing, and I want this to be said. First of all, I thought FSU did a class job placing up the banner, the sign for Ella Brazzi. You know, the Clemson defensive tackle, his sister who passed away of cancer. That trumps football. That trumps sports. That's real life. A young girl lost her war with cancer. And anybody of us who have known family members, relatives, friends, you know, that's real life. And that was a class move by Florida State, just like Clemson did for Bobby Bowden. When Bobby Bowden passed away, they did a tribute on their sideline for the legacy of Bobby Bowden. That is class. We want to run a class program as well. That's what good character football players want to come to. And the other part, I was glad to see at the end, the kneel down. There was no bullshit going on between players with frustration on Florida State's part. They knew the game was over. They didn't do anything. And there was good handshaking and hugs from players in a sportsmanship type of play that I like to see, instead of some punching or this or that, which leaves a bad taste. And Clemson, as far as I know, didn't do any dishonorable, disrespectful on the logo like you'll see from Gators or Miami people. And I mean,
this isn't the same level of rivalry of those games. Let's not pretend like it is.
What I'm saying is, I'm glad to have seen that done. Okay, win or lose. I'm just making an observation. That's what we do. Yeah. Okay. But those fans who weren't there to the end didn't see all of that and maybe don't give a shit. They wanted to get out to eat or get home, whatever. But I was glad to see that. I want a class program here. That's what I want. And that's what we're trying to develop. I think Coach Norvell is trying to do that. I think the coaching staff, again, is working their ass off. And I think
we got to stop talking like this.
Hold it. Shut up for a minute. Just be quiet for a minute. I think they're trying to do it. Now, we have a good portion of the season left with some tough teams, and they're not going to be easy. It's going to be important that we continue to work hard in these coming games.
Yeah.
You got any other questions out there?
No,
from folks?
I just the thing you got to. I think the last thing you got there. Yeah. Well, Jeffrey, I agree with you. He just keeps talking about the effort and stuff like that. I think the thing you got to say. You can keep talking about effort and what we're building, the climb, crap like that. But you got to remember, there's also schools like Tennessee that were 3-7 2 years ago. Now they're number 5 in the country. They're going to be number 5 in the country. There's programs that are doing it better than you. There's programs that are doing it faster than you. There's programs that are, if you keep building up this narrative of they're fighting, we're almost there. Well, you may never get there, right? So if you don't start turning this fight into wins soon enough, you may just never get there, right? You may just keep turning your wheels.
Well, the coaching staff won't be there. They won't be there.
Well, you keep saying, they're working hard.
I think they are working hard.
But everyone works hard. Or they wouldn't be in a job. Everyone works hard. But working hard doesn't equal results. That doesn't equal results. Just because you work hard at something doesn't mean you get the promotion. Doesn't mean you win. Working hard doesn't mean anything. That it really doesn't mean anything.
No, I understand.
Working smart, working smarter than the other person. That's
and I'm not a softie. I'm calling things out as I see them. But what I'm saying is, we can't say the team quit. That's a good we're looking for some positive characteristics too. I always say you can be competitive in every game, but lose every game. So being competitive, and Coach Mike always talks about growth and being competitive and what do we learn and what do we clean up? That's all coaching 101 language. And I get tired of hearing that shit too. Okay. But we could have got blown out tonight, and then we'd have a lot of big frustration.
Well, we were blown out for most. Okay.
After that 27 points, it was pretty much over.
That's a blowout in most people's books.
We're going to see what happens from this point forward. They got 2 weeks to get people healthy and to regroup for the final push. They need 2 victories to go to some kind of bowl game. 2, okay, and it's not going to be that easy. Georgia Tech has to be one of those games, and Louisiana has to be one of those games. If you want to put those in the must win, there's your 2 right there. Can you get something else out of the rest of the schedule? And this team has the ability, but they don't have the ability to win if they make any mistakes. We've said that the whole time, both you and I.
Yep. We just want this team to win both ways, but it is frustrating when you see teams similar trajectories doing way better than us. But like you said, I do believe that this team has gotten better, just not as fast as other teams. But I do think that the foundation is there. But this next 5 games, they have to make progress. They have to come back refocused after the bye week. They have to beat Georgia Tech. They have to beat Miami at a minimum for the season to be any way of success. And I believe they do have a chance to do it. So hopefully they come back healthy. Hopefully they come back, refocused, and they come back ready to go. So I think that's going to do it for tonight. Anything else that you want to bring up before we let everyone go? There's nothing else from me on my side. I think.
I get the frustration. I get the fan frustration. I do understand that. I understand that. But a building process is not easy. It's not easy. I went through in 1973, 0-11.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I just want you to understand that the Bobby Bowden, if you go back and look at and read some of Bobby's books.
But this is the program that was 0-11. This is a program that's been
rebuilding. Well, it should be easier then in a way. But let me say this too. Let me say this with no disrespect to Clemson, who is a good football team with a well-coached football team. I'm not a big Dabo guy. He's kind of too much of a cheerleader for me. But let me say this. I do not think they are one of the top 5 teams in this country. I do not think that. They are ranked now, or they were ranked. We'll see what the new rankings say, but they should not be ranked ahead of Tennessee. I would not want to play Tennessee right now. I would not want to play them, and I would not want to play Alabama. Clemson is not at that point. They are a top 10 team, but they are not a top 5 team. And, I don't care what their record is. They just don't perform that way up to, that may sound like sour grapes if you're a Clemson fan. I just don't believe it at this point. They're well coached and they're a good team, but they're not a top 5 team.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That Tennessee Alabama game was unbelievable. That's a classic for the ESPN.
Well, and I think that's the frustrating part is that you see a team like Tennessee that was literally a 3-win team 3 years ago, and now look at them. Like, how do we get on that path? Like,
he's done a great job there. He's done a great job there coaching, and he's going to continue to recruit better now.
It's talent. You have to get talent to get back on that path. You have to recruit.
You have to have talent. You do.
That's the fastest way to get back on that path. But you can have training, you can have the climb, but if you don't have elite talent in the right positions, you cannot get there. That's the biggest thing.
Look what's happening with these good teams. They have elite guys, they have good guys, very effective guys in the trenches.
Exactly. You have to own both sides of the line.
You have to own both sides of those lines. And you know what? There was an interesting comment made by Reese on the announcing. He said he ran into Mickey Andrews, who still hangs out at the programs, kind of a consultant in and out, and that's kind of a legacy thing. Mickey Andrews is a smart guy. You know what he said? And I was surprised that they repeated it. When in his day with Bobby Bowden, when we were a championship program, we could dominate at certain positions on the team. And he said, today, we don't have that domination at any position. No. We cannot dominate at any, and I was surprised Reese Davis said that on the air, but you know what? It's true. We do not have dominance at any position. I thought when Jordan Travis got bent over his leg, I said, oh, here we go. Here we go. We're lucky we still have Jordan Travis. If we don't have Jordan Travis, this season's over.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like you said, we don't have, but I think, we can talk about this on Thursday on the next show, but we do have some young guys. I think we potentially get Verse back. We got Patrick Payton. I do like.
Was Verse back in at the end of the game after?
He had that injury, like that. He got.
But we had no sacks in the game. I don't think, did we? We didn't have one sack.
No, we did. Derek McClendon. No, we had 3 sacks in the game.
We did. Yeah. Wow. It didn't seem like it, had an impact.
But I do. There's some young guys we can talk about next week.
We got some young guys getting
Patrick
a lot
Payton.
of reps.
Yeah. So there is some
Farmer, Payton, McClendon.
Yeah.
There's some young guys. If most of these guys come back, and I think they will, because they're not going to get the favorable reports from the NFL that they want on draft status, they come back. This team next year could be good. Depending, we're going to see what happens here the rest of the way, but interesting. Yeah. But I want to thank all our viewers as we usually do.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you all for taking your time. Like I said, leave your comments, like the video. We appreciate the support.
And if you haven't subscribed, please do.
Yeah, we appreciate it. If you subscribe.
Please do.
And join us on Thursday. We'll be back for a kind of a wrap up of the Clemson game, give our thoughts going into the bye week of any trending news. We may talk some basketball since basketball season is right around the corner. Talk the upcoming schedule for that as well. So join us on Thursday. Thank you all again for your time. Once again, final score out of Doak is 34 Clemson, 28 Florida State as they ended the bye week, looking to get back healthy. And we'll face Georgia Tech in 2 weeks. So until then, have a safe weekend, y'all. And we'll see you next week.
Take care. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 2 times.